you've said a couple things that I'm 100% aligned with and kind of trigger me in adding a thing or two. You mentioned the value thing. I think that is the biggest buzzword we have right now in project management. If you look at and you know what,
Kirshner brought it in 25 years ago.
Yeah. And you and I probably, maybe because we have a different background. You know, I originally came from product management and marketing, and I always aspired to be in senior management. So for me, financial literacy and focus on what really matters, and I wanted to be involved with strategy even when I was not anywhere close to it. I wrote down here the value hammer. Although it's a buzzword and the PMO framework uses it, it's in the new PMBOK guide. It's the new buzzword to save project management from any kind of cost cutting or resource elimination, which I would not be in favor of one way or the other.
It just can't happen.
No, but because you and I are deeply embedded, although you and I are fluent in strategic thought and thinking, right? And this is what you said, which is really, really important, is for it to really impact the culture, it has to go through at least 3 layers. So it has to go through that strategic level, it has to go through that functional tactical level, and at some point it has to be translated into a day-to-day operative thing. But what you said, which is really, really important, which I wanted to underline, is the middle level cannot afford to not be semi-fluent in strategic thinking and system thinking, because if they're not, if they say, hey, that's the job of upper management, we can't interfere, we can't ask questions, you're going to have a weak structure that's not going to stand up. So that's one thing. I think a lot of the...
It's a fundamental insight, absolutely fundamental.
Some of what always fascinates me, and I know you're a polyglot, you're kind of a Renaissance man, there's lots of different things that you and I are interested in, and we kind of see how they're puzzle pieces that fit together. But one of the things that always fascinates me, and particularly when I talk to technical project managers, if you talk to them about value, if you talk to them about net present value, internal rate of return, return of investment, burn rate, they get this haze over their eyes, right? And the eyes start crossing, and they go, "Oh my God, do I really have to deal with this? Is this really part of my job?" So that's one thing I want to point out. But I think that I would agree with you. There needs to be a constant interaction, because the thing about strategy is it's often lofty, it's often vague, and it needs fuel. It needs air for that fire to burn, and that air has to come from the bottom. You have to blow that air up there and say, hey, okay, I'm going to take you by your vision. What about this? Left or right? Red or blue?
Did you understand it?
Did you understand it? Well, this is the consequence of that interpretation of the vision. Is this what you want, or do you want me to do something else?
But very often, so a couple of points. First of all, yes, value, absolutely, but not just financial value.
Yeah.
And secondly, strategy is very often lofty. You're completely right. But that, in at least my take on it, is that with a lot of customers that I work with, you go there, you talk to them, and it's obvious from the very start that they haven't got the faintest clue why they are doing it. So you talk to them, you say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And they explain, because this way we managed to bring this product to the market, whatever. All very true, except that it has nothing to do with strategy. Right? Strategy is not something that you plan. Strategy is something that you observe and you recognize. And maybe you've recognized it, maybe you got it wrong. And if you got it wrong, you're probably in trouble. Yeah. But you don't get to choose it. You just observe it. And this is something that I notice is really, I mean, otherwise it's just tactics, just a little bit longer term.
Yeah, tactics without strategy is...
You need to have a clear understanding of where you're going and why you need to be there. And that's why earlier I was saying tactics is essentially the answer to the question, how am I still here in 10 years, right? And because that obliges you to A, know who you are, and B, evaluate what's happening to your industry, to your market. And it's the combination of these that can give you a strategy.
I also liked it, and you said it a second time, so I'm going to take it now as a cue. You said the word you said 10 years, and I love the fact that you said that. I'm actually, Monica and I are working on an NGO project, and we also determined we're gonna set up a 10-year plan, right? And there's this wonderful saying, and nobody can say who it's from, if it's from Steve Jobs or from somebody else. We all overestimate what you can do in a year, and we all underestimate what we can do in 10. What I liked about the fact that you said 10 years is because I agree with you, strategy is not something that's short-term, it's something that has short-term elements, but it has to have mid-term and long-term thought. And that's important, and that's kind of the job from the top. But if the top decides where we want to be in 10 years, the middle needs to decide
needs to recognize
how, in what releases, and in what structure, who's doing what, and what are the milestones along the way, right? Because quite honestly, the people who do the work, and I don't know how often I hear this from people at the bottom. We're really motivated. We'll do whatever we're told, but we don't want to have to organize your chaos. Can you get your act together and tell us what you want? Kind of the Spice Girl principle. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. So I like that.